Hello everyone, welcome to the live stream doing the form for Caulfield for Bletchingly Stakes Day live. So I wanted to go back and recap last week at Flemington. In the first race, Duchess Zoo and Legacy Bay were on an equal amount of points. They both finished first and second, maybe a little Quinella there. I ended up putting Legacy Bay on top purely from a price perspective. In this race, Arcora was on top of the points, but it was equal with Bermondsey. I ended up going for Zappa Inglesi. All Business in race 3 ran third. Shining Smile got the job done in race 4. Sounded Out did nothing in race 5. Red Hot Nick and Freak of Nature were both at 30 to 1 and they didn't do anything. Mukta Mill was close in the Flemington Cup. Sayadati Sadati wins. And then Beast Mode and Bold Print ended up getting scratched. In terms of the quaddies, I'll go the skinny one first, $6 for 100%. We didn't have M60 or Lake Vostok, but in the larger quaddie, we got Lake Vostok and M60, and that returned 971 for 160 on at 100%. The main quaddie didn't have more Mona, so the $24 skinny quaddie didn't do anything. The larger quaddie hit where we had more Mona, but for 540 on, we would have only gotten back 192. So that would have been a loss, but the first one, that looks pretty good. So hopefully we can replicate that in this week. Let's outline what we're playing with tomorrow at Caulfield. The rail's out 4 meters. Track condition, it's going to be soft and it'll probably get more soft due to the rain that's going to fall. I'm expecting tomorrow morning when they do the track inspection, it'll probably be a soft 5 and then it'll just keep getting worse as the rain falls. There's a 15 to 25k an hour northerly wind, so that means it's into their faces down the sides, so it doesn't really help leaders, and horses with cover will be suited. Quaddie outline is still gonna happen, and we're all set up, ready to go. So don't need this anymore. And there's no horses I'm adding into my preview tomorrow at Caulfield, unlike last week with Sayadati Sadati. So let's get cracking with race 1. There's 3 form factors we're going to look for. As I love to see with 2-year-olds, I want to see them have good jump out results heading into this race. So I'm talking the last maybe 2 jump outs to finish first and second. The interesting one here is drawn out. So this is my theory with tomorrow, especially the shoot races. Horses drawn inside are either going to have to kick up and lead and kick up into that wind, or they're going to take a sit, but they're going to be stuck on the inside off a likely slow speed due to the jockeys not wanting to go too hard into the wind up front. So I just think horses drawn inside might be in a little trick spot for this race and for the majority of tomorrow. And for a 2-year-old, I like to see them in. They've already had one preparation. Doesn't necessarily have to be a race preparation, but if they've had one or two jump outs in January or February and they're on debut here, that still counts. I'm still going to count that. So good jump out results is the first category we're going to look at heading into this campaign. So Cherish Me 7th and then 2nd. I'm not going to give it a point. Ole Dancers 1, 2 jump outs. That's going to get a point. Autumn Mystery 9th and 8th. Kennyworth 2nd and 1st. That's going to get a point. Brazenga won its last jump out, finished 6th here. No, I'm not going to give it a point. Miwa, 5th, 3rd, nah. Thanks Gorgeous 1st and 2nd, that's going to get a point. And Shy Star 4th and 1st. Nah, I'm not going to give it a point. I'm not being generous today. So we'll input those results. The next one is drawn out. So in a field of 8, we're probably looking at the horse drawn gate 4 gets half a point, and then 5 and out gets a point. So no points for Ole Dancer, Kennyworth, and Thanks Gorgeous. The 3 horses that got points in the first category aren't going to get anything here. And Cherish Me has drawn 4, so I might just, to make it quicker, just minus points off. So now everything's back to 0 and a -0.5 for Cherish Me. In second preparation, so Cherish Me will get a point. Ole Dancer will get a point. Autumn Mystery is going to get a point. Canny Worth is going to get a point. This is going to be a... Brazenga's going to get a point. Miwa is going to get a point. All the horses are going to finish on the same amount of points here. Thanks Gorgeous won't get anything. And Shy Star's going to get a point. So we'll just take 1 point off Thanks Gorgeous. So there's 6 horses on an equal amount of points. I didn't do that very well, did I? So in terms of finding an on-top selection, I might just have to go with what I value. So what I value the most. So I'm probably going to focus on this category. These 2 horses, Ole Dancer and Cannyworth, both got points here in a category where not too many others got points. But they're both drawn in. And there's a lot of horses that in their second preparation got points as well. I just have to outline a couple here, otherwise I'm not going to have anything to write. So I'm going to put Ole Dancer and Cannyworth in as potential picks, but not too confident because, as we just saw, I didn't do that very well. Okay. So, in terms of an on-top selection, probably be available tomorrow morning. If we look at these 2 horses quickly, like it got back here, it's drawn gate 1, it's going to be back and buried, whereas Cannyworth has the ability to settle on speed. Although I don't like horses that win dominantly on heavy tracks first up and then second up. I think it leaves them a little bit vulnerable. So stay out. That's what I'm getting from this. Stay out. I'll have to find an on-top selection to put in tomorrow morning on the Insta. All right, race 2. Let's move away from 2-year-olds. It's a benchmark 78 over 1,100 meters. For this race, there's 2 form factor categories. The first one is 4-year-old or less, so want a horse that is really progressive and can go to a new level. And then to show me that they're up to the class, SP under $10 last start in a Saturday grade sprint race. So we'll go to race 2. We'll look for the 4-year-olds. Just looking at all these names, I'm pretty sure most of these horses are 4-year-olds. So Luna Cat isn't. 4, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4. Gee, this has not been a good start to my form factors. We're not getting any edges. So SP under $10 last start in the Saturday grade sprint race. Namesake was $6.50. That's a point. Chinqui was $7. That's a point. Luna Cat, it wasn't a Saturday race. Bold Print, it wasn't a Saturday race. Wolfie will get a point. Naval Academy, it wasn't a Saturday race. Gala Queen, yes, but it was a 1600 race. Moonhaven, nah. Herbert Park, it wasn't a Saturday race. Papa Ward, it wasn't a Saturday race. And Verdue, it was a Saturday race. And it's SP'd $8.50. So we're going to have some horses on the same amount of points again. They include Namesake, Chinqui, Wolfie, and Verdue. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to eliminate Wolfie because it's first up, and I'm probably looking for horses that have been up and running. So I'm going to put 3 horses in the final Google Doc and probably just look at it again later and pick one tomorrow morning. Namesake, Chinqui, and what's the other one's name? Verdú. So there's three. Vinny is in the chat. Got Verdú from Papa Ward. Yes, but namesake is nice up. Nice up. Ninth up. It's ninth up, but it's off a bit of a freshen up, so I wouldn't be too concerned. So in this race, look, namesake, let's have a look at these horses. Namesake and Chinqui ran in the same race on the 31st of May. Namesake wins by 3/4 of a length, carrying 2 kilos more. It now carries 1.5 kilos more. Maybe Namesake over Chinqui, but then you've got Verdú as well down here for Blake Shin, who it's first up or it's off a long let up. You know what? I might lean to Namesake, but that might change. Just to give everyone some content and not figure it out a different day, I might just say I'm leaning to this horse at the moment. All right, it doesn't get much easier. Race 3, the Verbis Gold Stayers. 5 horses, key scratching of pounding earlier today. So this is what I'm looking for. SP under $15 last start in a Saturday grade race to show me they're up to the class. Run in a listed race or better in the last 365 days. So this shows me in a set weights race like the Verbis Gold Stayers, where horses with higher handicap ratings are weighted similarly to that of lower handicap rated horses, that they're also up to the class, and then placed at Saturday grade level before at 2,400 meters or beyond. So this tells me they can run the trip, and I know there's a certain $1.20 shot in this race that might not have this category. So we'll see where it takes us. Only 5 horses to go through here. Jimmy the Bear was $1.70. It's going to get a point. Midnight Glow was 26. Nah. Dictionary 31. No. Shahuli was 14. Yep. Point. And First Day, it wasn't a Saturday race. Well, that was quick. Jimmy the Bear and Shahuli run in listed or better race this past year. I know Jimmy the Bear has. It's going to get another point. Midnight Glow, I might have to expand for some of these horses. Listed, no. Dictionary ran in a group 3, so I guess it has to get a point. Shahuli, I've looked at this before, I know it hasn't. And First Day, no, it wouldn't have. So we'll input those results. Jimmy the Bear's in front, but will he plunder at this last one? Let's go through this again. Midnight Glow, Saturday grade race, 2,400 meters or beyond. Galilee Series final, it's going to get a point. Don't worry, I know Jimmy the Bear hasn't, so I'm not going to bother looking. Dictionary, let's look for 2,400 meters or beyond. Well, one here, but it was at Mornington. Ran 6th here, back to Mornington. Sandown. Vobis Gold Stayers, it ran 3rd. That was at 2,400 meters. I'm going to give Dictionary a point. So that's Dictionary done. Shahuli, looking for 24 or beyond. Cranbourne here, it gets a point. Oh no, we're going to have a lot of equal horses again. And First Day, nah, it wouldn't have. I'll check anyway, just in case. Actually, no, it's got 0 points, so there's no point. Okay. So we've got 3 equal horses here. Jimmy the Bear, Dictionary, and Shahuli. Can any of these horses test Jimmy the Bear? Well, Dictionary was 5 lengths off Jimmy the Bear last start. Shahuli only 2. I'd say Shahuli maybe over... From a price perspective, I think Shahuli maybe. Because at $1.20, even if it wins, like, what are you gaining? Shahuli at the odds. Shahuli at the odds in the Vobis Gold Stayers, but it's on the same amount of points as Jimmy the Bear and also Dictionary. Maybe there's a little trifecta, a box trifecta there, and if Jimmy the Bear gets rolled, then the box trifecta will probably pay decent. But if Jimmy the Bear wins, we probably lose money on the trifecta. And now we go from a 5-horse field to a 17-horse field. What's everyone saying? No hesitation with this one, Vinny. No hesitation about a horse at $1.20 that hasn't seen the 2,400 metres before in about 30 career starts. No thanks. Whereas Shahuli, jockey upgrade, Blake Shin on, and is proven at the trip. I'm going to go with Shahuli. Like I said before, at $1.20, what have we got to lose? So there's five categories for this one, so we should get a clear winner here. I think if there's a 3-year-old in this race that's third up, that's good. I think third up with a horse at this distance is real X factor, and I want to be with it. Within 2 weeks between runs, I like that with horses 3-year-old stayers come this time of year. Up in distance, so I want them to be progressing up to this distance and not necessarily have run at this trip before and then doing it again. I want those progressive horses that are up in distance. This is Seminator's Weird Theory. Started under $5 on a heavy track run this preparation. This shows to me that the market has expected them to have the toughness on a heavy track. And for a 3-year-old, I think that's beneficial. I don't know. You might not agree with me on that, but that's one of my weird theories that has worked for me in the past. So I'm going to stick with it. And jockey upgrade. I didn't want to do this because I don't like ranking jockeys. But if it's a significant jockey upgrade, then I will award a point. So we'll look for third up first. American Wolf will get a half a point for second up. Baffleck at 100 to 1 is going to get a point. Done Wondering, half a point. Protion, half a point. That'll do. So we've already got some separation. And there's a horse at 100 to 1 that's currently leading the way. Within 2 weeks in between runs, so we're looking for the special date of the 12th of January. That or less than that is going to get a point. So Stop the Rock is going to get a point. American Wolf will get a point. Nothing for Ant, the favourite. Baffleck, if Baffleck's still in this, it's going to get a point. Imagine if Baffleck came out on top. There doesn't seem to be much else. Verona Rupez is going to get a point. Protion is going to get a point. So Suave, nope. And nah. Okay, so we're getting some separation here, which is what I want with my form factors. Up in distance. I probably could have looked for this at the same time to be more time efficient, but we're looking for horses up in distance. So Stop the Rock, American Wolf, Ant at the 2,500. I'm taking on. Gee, the favourite's not going to get it. Baffleck is still on top. Baffleck is still on top. Done Wondering's going to get a point. Empire's State of Mind. It was at 2,400 metres here though, so I'm going to only give it a halfer. Philadeal is going to get a point. Nothing for Frontline Action. More Than Efficient will get a point. Rotating Soul will get a point. Triora 2,600. No, thank you. Verona Rupez is going to get a point. Protion is going to get a point. If I'm pronouncing that right. So Suave will get a point, and so will Grassy Spur. Let's input those results. With Baffleck at 100 to 1 still on top. How long can it last? It might not get past the last two form factors. Started $5. This is my weird theory. Heavy track run. No. Put a pen through Stop the Rock. It hasn't run on a heavy track before. Nah, I'm only joking. American Wolf. No. I want to see it within its last 5 starts. Here we go. Ant is going to get a late consolation point. I don't think it can win though. Stylish Secret, it was a soft 7, so I'm going to be nice and give it a half a point. Batfleck, no. Batfleck, something might take over from Batfleck. I can't see heavy. Filler Deal will get a point. Frontline Action, no, I can't see any heavy. More Than Efficient, it was a soft 7, so I'm going to give it a half a point. Rotating Soul, it was a soft 7, I'm going to give it a half a point. This shows to me they've got the toughness. Triora, it was a soft 7, so I'm going to give it a half a point. Verona Rupes, nothing. Protion, there's heavy track runs, but it was 17 and 31, so it doesn't fit. So Suave, point. And Grassy Spur, nothing. So the horses that haven't really got points in the first couple of form factors have now got some points on the board. Okay, and with 1 to go, significant jockey upgrade. Batfleck still leads the way. But there's challenges left, right and centre. How will this last one go? I might need your help in the chat as well. Billy Egan to Tom Preble. Nah, I can't have it. Blake Shin to Blake Shin. Nah. Ben Mellum to Ben Mellum. Nah. Luke Cartwright to Craig Williams. That is a jockey upgrade. Jet Stanley to Jet Stanley. Batfleck won't get a point. Ian Walsh to Ian Walsh. No. Jason Holder to Craig Newitt. Look, Jason Holder's pretty good over there, so I'm not going to give it anything. Stockdale to Mertens. I'll give it a half a point. Filler Deal. Frontline Action. Kennedy to Kennedy, no. Bates to Bates, no. McNeil to Logan Bates, no. Gee, Batfleck might win this. Stockdale to Cartwright. Nah. Coffee to Cartwright, no. McNeil to McNeil, no. Mallion to Mellum. Jamie Mellum is pretty good. I'll give it a point. King to, well, how can it be a jockey upgrade when there's no jockey? So Batfleck is equal first now, I think, with a horse down the bottom by the name of So Suave. Don't you love the live stream form factors? Batfleck wins on synthetic off a bit of a freshen up or a let up, and then it finishes 6 lengths off Stop the Rock, but maybe it just needs 2400. Like, it got out to 2500 here, although those were in Pakenham Maidens, and then So Suave, Jamie Mellon, lightweight, drawn low, has the ant form and gets a bit of a weight swing off that horse. I am surprisingly gonna lean to So Suave over Batfleck. Does anyone think Batfleck can get within 6 lengths tomorrow? Batfleck? Blake rode Shahuli the start before as well. Ah. Well, I like Jimmy the Bear now then. It's settled. Nah, just kidding. And from Stop the Rock, says Vinny. Well, I think and Stop the Rock are at the top of the market, so they should be hard to beat. So those are the first 4 races down. This early quad is going to be a nightmare to outline. As we get to race 5, what are the form factors I'm looking for here? I need to go back. Alright, I'm looking for a horse 3rd to 5th up, peaking and not too far into a campaign. Top 4 last start in a Saturday grade race or equivalent sort of SP. And then by this stage of the day, for a race like this, down the middle is what I'm looking for. So a horse that maps to be storming down the middle or in those middle lanes in the straight. So let's do this. Salsa Fellow will get a point. Electric Tommy will get a point. Bossy Bonita, half a point. Brutalina, half a point. Noetzi is going to get a point. It's a Yes will get a point. Behaviour will get a half a point. Foxenberg will get a point. Damehood will get a point. So will Dobkins, and nothing for Coin. We input those results. Top 4 last start in a Saturday grade race or equivalent SP. Salsa Fellows going to get a point. Electric Tommy, it wasn't a Saturday race. Bossy Bonita, it wasn't a Saturday race, but it is a pretty good horse, Bossy Bonita. Not a Saturday race. This was a Saturday race, but it was in Adelaide. I'm going to give the Noetzi half a point just because I'm looking for a Saturday race in Melbourne. Maybe questioning the Murray Bridge form a bit. Behaviour finished 4th. It'll get a point. Foxenberg finished 3rd. It'll get a point. Nothing for Dame Hood. Dobkins finished 5th, so I'm going to give it a half a point. And then nothing for Coin. So we'll input those results. Who does everyone like in race 5? Let me know. So by the end of dealing with this, I can look over and see who everyone's with. Don't even know who I'm with yet. So we're looking for a horse that's going to storm down the middle. So pretty much eradicating the horses drawn the inside. Brutalina and Foxenberg, I'm not going to give points to. Even Salsa Fellow, Blake Shin might be smart and tag the horse back and then get to the outside. But I reckon it might try and fly up the fence, where I think with the deteriorating conditions... Yeah, okay. So I didn't really think this through, but I'm going to just subtract points from definitely the 6 and the 10. And 1 and 8, I might subtract half a point. Anything else scampy, then yeah, further out will be fine. So there's 3 horses that have got the same amount of points. Salsa Fellow, Noetzi, and also Dobkins. Oops, who's everyone with? Noetzi from Bonita, it says Vinny. Alright, well, Noetzi has made it to the last sort of stage here. I forgot to say leaning to this horse. So just a reminder that at the end of all of this, I'll outline a quaddie. What are the odds looking like? Salsa Fellow 460, Noetzi 330, Dobkins is $81. Should I have a multi Baffleck into Dobkins? Wouldn't that be funny? I mean, looking at this, right? Dobkins finished only 3.5 lengths off Jarpo. Illy Ivy's come out and won. Looks like it was doing some decent work late. Is going to get cover protection from that breeze and's got 54 kilos. And it's $81. Salsa Fellow might be stuck on the fence. It's got a pretty big weight, however, it was good last start. And Noetzi has the South Australia form. Yeah, I don't know. Does anyone think Dobkins at $81 is worth something? All right, let's move to race 6. Three-year-old fillies handicap, 1,100 meters. So what I'm looking for here is 2nd to 4th up. Again, not fresh, but not deep into a campaign. Just the right time of the campaign is what I'm looking for. Within 2 lengths last start shows me that they're racing well. And maps forward of midfield. I don't want at 1100 metres tomorrow to get too far back, and I might take half a point off horses that are going to lead into that wind. So that sweet spot might be in a field of this size, 3rd to 6th. So the 2nd or 3rd pair back with a bit of cover, and ideally off the inside. We'll look for 2nd to 4th up first. Manolo Bling, half a point. Mystic Rain, half a point. Supercilious will get a point. Shadavar will get a point. Half a point for Savagery Vibe. Half a point for Sunsetting. Delicate Lady will get a point. Keeney will get a point. Vein Champagne, half a point. Are You Ready For It will get a point. And so will Porsche Crystal. So input those first results. Within 2 lengths last start, Manolo Bling 3 lengths off him, but its SP was good, so I'll give it a half a point. Mystic Rain, it'll get a point even though it's first up. Supercilious, yep, it'll get a point. Shadavar, yeah, pretty much a point. 2.15. I'll accept. Savagery Vibe will get a point. Sunsetting will get a point. Gee, there's a lot of horses going to be on an equal amount of points here. Keeney will get a point. Vein Champagne will get a point. Are You Ready For It will get a point. Don't Russia will get a point. And okay, that didn't. So really, the only horse that didn't get anything there was negative a half off Manolo Bling. And maps forward of midfield. So we're going to slice the field in half. Award a point to everything that's expected to settle forward of midfield, and then take a half a point off the horses that are most likely to lead. So from this speed map, we have to take away Always Enough, Madame Maserati, Fieldello, and Point B, because they're all scratched. So let's just go in order, looking for the top 6. So Delicate Lady, Manolo Bling, Shadavar, Don't Russia, Sunsetting, Mystic Rain. That was easy. 1 point to Manolo Bling, 1 point to Delicate Lady, 1 point to Shadavar, 1 point to Don't Russia, 1 point to Mystic Rain, 1 point to Sunsetting. But then who's the most likely to lead out of all of them? I might go through all those horses and find out for myself. How much of a leader is it? Manolo Bling, well, yeah, it's a leader. Mystic Rain, yeah, it's a leader. Shadavar, it can take a sit, just in behind them. Sunsetting, it can take a sit. Delicate Lady, it looks like it goes pretty fast. And Don't Russia can take a sit. So out of those horses, I might minus a half a point off 1, 4, and probably 10. And for the first time today, we have an outright top scorer, and it is Shadavar. So that will be my selection in race 6. Who's everyone with in that race? So Suave, he doesn't know his price. What's So Suave's price? I'm assuming. Actually, no, I won't look. What's So Suave's price then? Is it about $10? I'm expecting it to be something like 10 because I know who the 2 favourites are. All right, race 7, benchmark 100, 1600 metres. Look at this, 5 form factors. This is what we're working with. So 4-year-old or less, again, just like I said before for another race, want a horse that's really progressive and going in the right direction. Hard fit, so I'm talking has been racing throughout the winter and is fit, lightweight, so probably slice the field in half and take all the weights from the bottom half of the field. Last start winner or SP under $5 last start in a Saturday grade race shows me that they're really up to the class and ran at 1600 meters last start. I think by this time of year, the best races for these types of horses are the 1600 meter races. So I want to see them come out of a 1600 meter race. We'll start with the 4-year-old category and less. So Berkeley Square will get a half a point. Detonator Jack, nothing. Munamek is a 9-year-old, so it won't get anything. Neither will Forgot You. Neither will St. Lawrence. Neither will Earlswood. Neither will Milford. Neither will Sione. New Look is going to get a point. It comes from overseas. Regal Vow, half a point. So, what's happening here? I've got a little typo in one of the cells here. All right, hard fit. I'm talking, let's say, 5th up and beyond. Berkeley Square, 2nd up, won't cut it. Detonator Jack, no. Munamek, no. Forgot You, point. St. Lawrence won't cut it. Earlswood might get a half a point. Milford's going to get a point. Sione's going to get a point. Nothing for New Look. And Regal Vow and El Rocco are going to get points. El Rocco, if the track gets really wet tomorrow, probably comes into contention. Lightweight, this is where we might slice the field in half and work with that. So there's 11 horses. The median is horse number 6. So we're going to give... No, I'm just going to give a point to 7 and under. They're all going to get a point 7 and under. Last start winner or SP under $5 last start in a Saturday grade race. Berkeley Square, no. Detonator Jack, no. Munamek, it almost won, so I'm going to be generous and give it a half a point. It almost beat Jimmy the Bear. Forgot You, the same. I'm going to be nice and give it a half a point. St. Lawrence, nothing. Earlswood, it SP'd under $5, so that gets a point. Milford, no. Sione, no. New Look. I can't... a listed race that feels like it'd be on a Saturday over there in Deauville. You know, I'll be generous and give it a point. Regal Vow, no. And El Rocco, no. All right. If New Look ends up with the most amount of points, it's going to be a little bit dodgy because we're dealing with Deauville form. And the last category is run at 1600 last start. Yes, all right, most of these horses would have run at 1600, so I'm just going to give a -1 to horses that didn't. So St. Lawrence, Earlswood, Milford, Sione, New Look. Regal 1700 is pretty close, so I might give it a half a point, and El Rocco. So if we input those results, I can probably just... Two horses with an equal amount of points on top, New Look and Regal Vow. Probably going to lean the way of Regal Vow, though, because we were dealing with Deauville form. And I'm just not sure how strong that is. Who's everyone with in the 7th race? The 80-1 Pop Dobkins. Is that what you mean, Trevor? You mean I don't know the price of Dobkins? I had the TAB thing up, so I do know the price of Dobkins at 80-1. Leaning to Regal Vow. Now we get to the Bletchingly, which is the feature on this card. And this is what I'm looking for. Another 5? Yeah, another 5. 4-year-old or less. Again, progressive. Handicap ratings. Because this is a set weights race, I want the top 2 or 3 handicap ratings from each category. What I mean by category is the top 2 or 3 handicap ratings for the boys and the girls. And maybe the 3-year-olds. Second up, I really like horses second up in the Bletchingly. They're proven to be successful over the years. SP under $10 in a group race in the last 365 days. This tells me they're up to the class. SP under $5 last start in a group race. This tells me that their most recent form is good. This tells me that their form in the last year is good. This tells me that their most recent form is good as well. So we'll start with the 4-year-olds again. In a field of 9 for this year's Bletchingly. Recommendation, half a point for being a 5-year-old. Kalos, no. Barrackeel, no. Inhibitions is going to get a point. Kin, half a point. Yellow Sam, half a point. Apache Song's going to get a point. New York Luster, half a point. Bridal Waltz, point. That's the first category down in deciding who the Bletchingly winner this year is going to be. Handicap ratings, top 2 or 3 for each sort of category. So we've got, well, the 3 boys will get a point. Bridal Waltz is going to get a point. I know its handicap rating isn't up there, but it's a 3-year-old filly rather than a mare. And then I'm going to give points to Inhibitions, Kin, and Yellow Sam. Second up. So Kalos is going to get a point. Barrackeel, half a point. Inhibitions will get a point. Apache Song's going to get a half a point. New York Luster's going to get a point. So we're flying through this in the bid to find this year's Bletchingly winner. SP under $10 in a group race the last 365 days. Well, Recommendation did it last start. Kalos did it last start. Barrackeel did it in the McEwen. Inhibitions, we might need to look a little bit closer. It won a Group 3 here, but it was $13. Even so, that's pretty close. It'll still get, it's going to get a half a point. Inhibitions. Kin. It was $10 here, $11. I might just look through just in case there's another reference we can go off. Doesn't look that way. Kin's only going to get a half a point. Yellow Sam, it was in the Northwood Plume, but started $26. Nah, not in the last 365 days. Apache Song, it was $10 in the Australia Stakes. That'll award a point. New York Luster, it was under $10 in the Monash pretty much. It'll get a point. And Bridal Waltz is also going to get a point. Alright, so that's that category done. And finally, SP under $5 last start in a group race. This shows me their most recent form is good. Recommendation, no. Kalos, it opened 6, which is close. I'm going to give it a half a point because I'm being generous. Barrackeel, look, this was pretty much a group race. I'm going to give Barrackeel the point. Inhibitions, no, it wasn't a group race. Kin, no. Yellow Sam, no. Apache Song, no. New York Luster. It got into 650 here, so I might give it a half a point. Bridal Waltz, no. With that in mind, it's pretty close up the top. There's 3 horses on an equal amount of points. 2 Godolphin horses. And Barrackeel. So we haven't really found an answer. I thought having a few more form factors will give us the answer, but apparently not. So let's have a look at these horses' form references. So Kalos, probably a bit underwhelming last start in the John Monash. Ethan Brown goes on. Blake Shin jumps off. It's got to be a decent chance. Barrakeel's first up off a bit of a break. That's, I don't know. Inhibitions. Look, whether it's... I think Kalos is a better horse than Inhibitions. So at the moment, I might lean to Kalos. Who's everyone with in the Bletchingly? Trevor reckons, are you ready for it each way? Oh, gee, we've had some messages since I last checked. Sione each way, New York Luster each way. We're getting some differing opinions. New York Luster. It's probably pretty unlucky not to also be right up there. I'll include that in the quaddie. But I might lean the way of Kalos. And then we get to the last race, which is a benchmark 84 over the 1400 meters. And don't go yet, even though there's one race to go, don't go yet because we've still got to outline some quaddies after this. After we find the winner of race 9. It looks a tough day tomorrow based off the points that we've awarded so far. We've got a record 6 form factors for this last race. So as I've said all day, 4-year-old or less, progressive, 2nd to 4th up, right stage of prep, within 2 lengths last start, has been racing well recently, ran at 1400 metres last start. This particular race, I think these particular horses, the best of them come through 1400 metre races. This is my sort of point of difference, 3+ weeks between runs. I like that little bit of freshness. And then SP under $5 last start, racing well. So we'll go with the 4-year-old category first. Ryan Berg won't get anything. Neither will Windstorm. Neither will Home Rule. Half a point Fire of Etna. A point for Keep Your Cool. A point for Sassy Boom. Half a point for Hurricane. Nothing for Jabba. Nothing for Blondo. True to Form's going to get a half a point. Eye of the Eagle's going to get a half a point. A point for Pariah Pearl. And a point for Eugenius. So, we'll input that first batch of results, the first of 6 form factors, 2nd to 4th up. Right stage of prep we want. Ryan Berg is going to get a point. Nothing for Windstorm, nothing for Home Rule. Fire of Etna is going to get a point. Keep Your Cool's going to get a point. Sassy Boom's going to get a point. Hurricane's going to get a half a point. Jabberwockies will get a half a point. Blondo's going to get a point. True to Form's going to get a point. Eye of the Eagle's going to get a point. Nothing for Pariah Pearl. Cindy Falls will get a half a point. And Eugenius is going to get a point. So in go those results. Within 2 lengths last start. Ryan Berg was 10 lengths off him, but in the same race here, only finished a half a length off him. I'll give it a half a point. I'm being generous. Windstorm, like 2.96. It's close. I'll give it a half a point because I'm generous. Home Rule, point. I'll give a half a point to Fire of Etna again. Keep Your Cool's going to get another point. So is Sassy Boom. So is Hurricane. Nothing for Jabberwockies. Nothing for Blondo. True to Form is going to get a point. Eye of the Eagle, pretty much half a point. Pariah Pearl, yeah, it'll get a point. Cindy Falls, yep. And Eugenius, yes. All right. We're halfway there in this last race before we start outlining some quaddies, which I assume will pay well tomorrow, especially the late one. Run at 1400 metres last start. I think this is the best distance range for these horses come this time of year. Ryan Berg will get a point in terms of lead-up races. Nothing for Windstorm. Home Rule's going to get a point. So is Fire of Etna. So is Keep Your Cool and Sassy Boom. Nothing for Hurricane, nothing for Jabba. Blondo's going to get a point. True to Form. Eye of the Eagle. Pariah Pearl, nothing. Cindy Falls, nothing. And Eugenius, it was only 100 metres off, so I might give it a half a point. Input those results. This is my point of difference. I'll have a bit of freshness in this type of race. 3+ weeks in between runs. The magic date is the 5th of July. Anything from that date or further back is going to get a point. Rheinberg, no. Windstorm is going to get a point. Home Rule, no. Fire of Etna is going to get a point. Keep Your Cool, nothing. Sassy Boom's going to get a point. Hurricanes, I'll give it a half a point because I'm not looking for first up horses. Jabberwocky's going to get a point. I'm going to accept that as a let up and not a spell. Blondo's going to get a point. Nothing for True to Form, nothing for Eye of the Eagle, nothing for Pariah Pearl, nothing for Cindy Falls, nothing for Eugenius. Alright. And then we've got one more category to go. And that is SP under $5 last start. Alright, no. Windstorm was close, so I'm going to give it a half a point. Home Rule, nothing. Fire of Etna, I'll award it the point. Keep Your Cool is going to get a point. Sassy Boom, $10, no. Hurricane, nothing. Jabberwockies, I won't accept. Blondo, no. True to Form was close. 7. Yeah, I'll be generous and give it a half a point. Eye of the Eagle, nothing. Pariah Pearl is going to get a point. Cindy Falls, half a point. And Eugenius is going to get a point. Surely we've got one horse that's clear here. Out of 6 form factors, we've landed on 3 horses with the exact same amount of points. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Fire of Etna, Keep Your Cool, and Sassy Boom. Trying to think of this logically. Sassy Boom loves to lead, so it probably leads into a bit of a headwind. Fire of Etna has a claim. Keep Your Cool should run well. So I'll look past Sassy Boom for now. Focus on Keep Your Cool. It was pretty good last start. Fire of Etna, I was on it this day. I'm not sure what type of run that was in the Leilani final. You know, I might lean to Keep Your Cool in the last, but we've got 3 horses on the same amount of points. Rheinberg as a roughie for Adzi. Look, that horse always runs well, except for last start, where I had it. Before that, it was good. True to Form has a 5 kilo weight swing on the favourite. This is true, and I have heard about this. But the main thing that I want to look at, and I like looking at, is the fact that it switches from an apprentice to Craig Williams. So looking at the true weight, it's only a 2 kilo weight swing. However, I can see the True to Form, the love for True to Form. Sassy Boom and Cindy Falls, blowout Jabberwockies. Gee, Trevor, if you get the quaddie, you're gonna be really rich the way that you're messaging with all these roughies. All right, so let's quickly recap all our selections, which, gee, it's a tough day. In the first race, Ole Dancer and Canny Worth were the 2 horses that I had to pick out of the 6 horses that were on the same amount of points. And in race 2, it was Namesake, Chinqui, and Verdot that were on the same amount of points. I think Chinqui might be leaning into that headwind. Verdot from gate 1 might get trapped, but I think it's a good chance. And I think Namesake, maybe off that freshen up, could do it justice. In the Vobus Gold Stayers, $1.20 I think is toxic odds for Jimmy the Bear, and equal on it in terms of points was Shahuli and Dictionary. And then race 4, So Suave and Baffleck. And $126 Baffleck was equal first with So Suave, but look, So Suave's got the better form. In race 5, it was Salsa Fellow, Notesy, and Dobkins at $81. That were the on-top selections. I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. I actually think Dobkins' form is decent for an 80-1 shot. In race 6, the horse that came out on top was Shadavar. In race 7, it was between New Look and Regal Vow, but New Look, we were sort of dealing with Deauville form, so not sure how to treat that. 3 on top horses in the Bletchingly, Kalos, Barrakiel, and Inhibitions. Bit worried about the length of spell for Barrakiel, and I think Kalos might be a better horse than Inhibitions, at least shown to date. New York Luster is also a good chance, but I'm leaning to Kalos. And then in the last race, on the same amount of points, we have Fire of Etna, Keep Your Cool, and Sassy Boom. And I'm probably leaning to Keep Your Cool out of those 3. So we're going to outline a skinny quaddie now. So we're trying to nail the quaddie. We need to go back to the points to assist us. So race 2 to race 5 is the early quaddie tomorrow, so let's go. So there's 4 horses on an equal amount of points. Namesake, Chinqui, Wolfie, and Verdot. I was happy to look past Wolfie because it was first up, so I think in race 2 we're going to have numbers 1, 2, and 11. Then in race 3, there's 3 horses on the same amount of points, but there's a $1.20 favourite. Just wondering if Jimmy the Bear is too good for them. A skinny quaddie can't have over half the field in it, can it? No, I'll save that for a longer quaddie. So what I'm going to do is just have Jimmy the Bear 1 out, just in case it wins. Race 4, we've got So Suave. We've got to throw Baffleck in the quaddie, and then some horses on 2.5 points. I'm gonna throw Ant in this quaddie just because when I was looking at the race before, I liked its form the best. I know it's only got 1 point, but I'm gonna throw it in anyway. 3, 5, 16. And then in this race, there's another horse on 1.5 points that I totally missed called Behaviour. How are we going to do this? 1, 7, 9, and 12. I might have to do that for a skinny quaddie. I don't want to, but 3 by 1 is 3. By 3 is 9. By 4 is 36. And if Jimmy the Bear wins, then it won't pay much at all, regardless of who wins the other races. So now we'll move on to a longer quaddie. I'm going to throw Wolfie in. We're just going to have 1, 2, 5, and 11. In race 3, we're going to include Dictionary and Shahuli as well as Jimmy the Bear. In race 4, I might throw in all the horses that are on 2.5, and as well as Ant. So 2, 3, 8, 2, 3, 5, 8, 15, 16. And then in race 5, 1, 7, 9, 12. And I might throw in one of these horses on 1 point. Maybe Electric Tommy. That looks a decent horse. Leaving out Bossy Bonita. That might bring us undone. So it'll be 1, 4, 7, 9, and 12. 4 by 3 is 12. By 6 is 72. By 5 is 354, I think. Maybe someone might have to double check that for me. But that's what I'm doing. Have to put the 10 in race 2. Pop Award, well, I could, but I'm not going to. But if it does win, I will be reminded of you, Trevor. Quaddie. Alright, this skinny quaddie is probably going to be $100, I reckon, for 100%. But let's just try and separate them. So I'm gonna put 6, 9, and 10 in the skinny quaddie. And if worst comes to worst with these next legs, we can just have Shadavar 1 out. Where am I looking? Race 7. New Look, Regal Vow, and I'm going to throw in Forgot You because it's the only horse on 2.5 points. Two, 3, 4, and I think New York Luster. This isn't a skinny quaddie, is it? This isn't... No, this isn't skinny. And then race 9. 5, 6, 7. Can we get away with 5, 6, 7? 3x3. $108 for 100% isn't skinny, so I'm not accepting that. Let's just have Shadavar 1 out. Take out Forgot You. 1x2 is 2, by 4 is 8. That's better. We're looking, and we save the more numbers for the longer quaddie. That's why we outlined 2. 6, 9, 10. And then it's a lottery. So, you know what? I'll just stick with 6, 9, and 10. Race 7. 9, 10, 4. I said before El Rocco, didn't I? 4, 9, 10, 11. If it gets to a heavy track at the worst, then, gee, it'll come right into play. El Rocco. 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. And then race 9. 5, 6, 7, 15. And I think we've got to throw in true to form. 5, 6, 7, 11, 15. 3 by 4 is 12. By 5 is 60. By 5 is 300. That was alright. That was alright to work out. So there we go. That might wrap us up. Let's go through everything one last time on this tough day. Between Ole Dancer and Kennyworth in race 1, but it's a very low confidence race on my behalf, as is race 2. I think maybe Namesake and Verdot are the ones to beat. Race 3, I'm happy to take on Jimmy the Bear at the $1.20 with Shahuli. So Suave will be my on-top selection in race 4, but Baffleck at $126 was equal first on points. In race 5, we had 4 horses equal on points. I'll add in behaviour now before I forget. And Dobkins at $81 I will be following. Shadavar was on top in race 6. It was between New Look and Regal Vow in race 7, but we're a bit sceptical of this horse first up, so I'm leaning to Regal Vow. In the Bletchingly, Kalos just on top, but Barrakill Inhibitions and New York Luster is going to be very close. And in race 9, out of Fire Vetna, Keep Your Cool and Sassy Boom, who were all equal on points, I think Keep Your Cool is probably the best of the 3. And these are the quaddie outlines. $36 for 100% is the skinny early quaddie, $354 for 100% for the longer early quaddie. And for the main quaddie, $24 for 100%, and a longer quaddie of $300 for 100%. Right, that's going to do us. This will take a while to load once I click on YouTube again. Oh, no, it's all right. Thanks everyone for watching the live stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I've tipped you into a few winners. If you're following along, hopefully you back a winner yourself tomorrow. Thanks to everyone who contributed in the chat. And until next week's whatever, probably the form factors is when I'll see you next. Bye for now.